Commander Nexus Vrell gazed through the observation window of Research Station 7, drumming his 4 fingers against the reinforced glass. Below, the blue marble called Earth rotated slowly, completely oblivious to his presence. These humans, he thought with a mixture of amusement and contempt, still believed they were alone in the universe. Commander spoke Central AI through the station's comm system. Your evening report on human behavioral patterns is ready for review. Vrell sighed, his scaled skin shifting colors from deep purple to an irritated orange. Display findings, he commanded, already anticipating another boring summary of a primitive species barely worth studying. The holographic display materialized before him, showing footage from various human settlements. Observation log 2187, the AI began. Subject species continues to display highly irregular responses to fatal scenarios. This caught Vrell's attention, his head crest raised slightly as he leaned forward. Elaborate. Playing Incident 47B, Central AI responded. The display shifted to show a human emergency response team rushing into a burning structure. Notice their expressions, the AI highlighted, zooming in on the responders' faces. Vrell's inner eyelids flickered in confusion. They're laughing? While entering an actively combusting habitat. Correct, Commander. Furthermore, listen to their communication. The audio feed crackled to life. Hey Rodriguez, bet I can save more civilians than you can in your dreams, Martinez. Loser buys drinks. Vrell's skin shifted to a puzzled blue. Central, run comparative analysis with other known spacefaring species responses to imminent death scenarios. The display split into multiple sections, showing various alien species encountering life-threatening situations. The pattern was clear. Every other species showed expected responses: fear, panic, survival instinct. But these humans... Fascinating, Vrell muttered. His scientific curiosity finally piqued. They're turning it into some sort of competition. He pulled up another recording, this time of human military training. A group of soldiers faced a seemingly impossible obstacle course. Death traps at every turn, yet they approached it with grins and jokes. One soldier shouted, "New high score incoming," before tackling the course. Central, Vrell commanded, his skin now pulsing with an excited green glow. Begin deep behavioral analysis of all death-related human activities. I want full psychological profiles, cultural studies, and evolutionary tracking. Commander, the AI hesitated. Are you suggesting this warrants further investigation? The Galactic Council classified humans as a level 2 primitive species just last cycle. Vrell's mouth curved into what humans would call a smile. Oh yes, Central. I believe we've been drastically underestimating these creatures. They've developed something unprecedented, a psychological adaptation that turns their greatest weakness into a game. The commander turned back to the observation window, watching Earth with new eyes. These weren't the actions of a primitive species. This was something else entirely, something that made Vrell both fascinated and, though he wouldn't admit it, slightly nervous. Central, mark this date in the research logs, he commanded. I believe we've just discovered why humanity has survived against all probability calculations. And I have a feeling the Galactic Council is going to want to hear about this. 2 weeks had passed since Commander Vrell's initial observation. Research Station 7's main laboratory buzzed with activity as holographic displays flickered with endless streams of human behavioral data. Commander, you need to see this, called out senior researcher TX, her bioluminescent spots pulsing with excitement. We've intercepted a fascinating research paper from a human scientist. Vrell glided across the lab, his skin shimmering with anticipation. Show me. The display shifted to reveal a document authored by Dr. Alexandra Winter, titled The Gaming of Death: Humanity's Evolutionary Response to Mortality. This human researcher, TX explained, her voice trembling slightly. She's discovered the same pattern we have, but from their perspective. They're actually aware of what they're doing. Vrell's eyes widened as he scanned the document. Dr. Winter had documented hundreds of cases where humans deliberately reframed lethal situations as challenges to be conquered, from their primitive extreme sports to their military training programs. Humans had systematically turned death into a game to be won. Play the surveillance footage from her laboratory, Vrell commanded. The screen showed Dr. Winter, a tall human with striking silver-streaked hair, presenting her findings to a group of colleagues. Ladies and gentlemen. She spoke with barely contained excitement. We've evolved beyond simple fight or flight responses. Our species has developed what I call the game state response to mortality. When faced with death, we don't just survive, we turn it into a competition we can win. Preposterous, muttered Chief Analyst Mix from across the lab. No species can simply decide not to fear death. But look at this, TX countered, pulling up another display. Hospital emergency teams having saved streaks, military units competing for high scores in combat scenarios. Even their children turned dangerous situations into games called dares. Vrell watched as the displays showed countless examples: firefighters racing each other into burning buildings, soldiers treating battlefield tactics like strategic games, even civilians approaching natural disasters with an almost inappropriate level of competitive spirit. Commander Central AI interrupted. I've completed the evolutionary timeline analysis. This adaptation appears to have developed rapidly over their last few centuries. It's unprecedented in any known species. Dr. Winter's voice continued from the surveillance feed. By transforming mortal danger into a game, we've unlocked a unique psychological advantage. Fear becomes excitement. Survival becomes victory. Death becomes nothing more than a game over screen. That's why their death rates in catastrophic events are so low, TX realized, her spots now pulsing rapidly. They're not just pushing through their fear, they literally don't process danger the same way we do. Vrell's skin shifted to a deep, thoughtful purple. Central, show me their entertainment media about death scenarios. The displays filled with human movies, games, and stories. Heroes making jokes while facing certain doom. Characters treating apocalyptic scenarios like puzzles to be solved. Even their children's games involved laughing in the face of simulated death. They've weaponized their own mortality, Vrell whispered, a note of awe in his voice. By turning death into a game, they've stripped it of its power over them. Commander Mix spoke up, his tone worried. Should we alert the Council? This could classify humans as a potential threat. Dr. Prime's membrane quivered as he watched Ashley quickly organize 3 other children into teams, her usual nervous energy channeled into methodical efficiency. She'd created a simple but effective system. One team counted, another verified, and the third logged everything into one of the facility's auxiliary data pads she'd somehow managed to access. Vrell watched as another clip showed Dr. Winter demonstrating how human emergency response teams used humor and competition to enhance their performance in lethal situations. No, he decided, his skin rippling with determination. First, we need to understand exactly how they achieved this. Keep monitoring Dr. Winter's research. And get me everything you can find about human game theory and psychological adaptation. Something tells me we've only scratched the surface of what these fascinating creatures are capable of. Commander. Vrell stood in the cloaked observation pod, hovering silently above the human military training facility. Below, Lieutenant Marcus Rodriguez and his elite squad prepared to attempt what the humans called the Murderer's Mile, a training course with a 90% failure rate. Commence comparative analysis, Vrell commanded softly. Beside him, a holographic display showed footage of various alien species attempting similar challenge courses. For scientific integrity, he had convinced 3 other civilizations to run identical scenarios. Listen up, you beautiful disasters, Rodriguez's voice carried through the observation pod's sensors. He stood before his team, a confident grin on his face. Today's mission is simple. We're going to break every record on this course or die trying. Sergeant Isabella Martinez snorted. You say that like there's a difference, Lieutenant. The whole squad laughed. Vrell's skin flickered in disbelief. His own species would have gone into shock just looking at the course ahead. Central, begin recording comparative vital signs, Vrell ordered. The course was a masterpiece of lethal engineering. Automated turrets loaded with stun rounds that could stop a heart. Flame jets that could cook armor. Drop pits with nanosecond timing requirements. Even the air was laced with hallucinogenic compounds. All right, team, Standard Bet, Rodriguez called out, checking his gear. First one to get tagged buys drinks. Oh, you're on. Technical specialist Nina Wong called back, already pulling up the course schematics on her tablet. I've got a new route mapped out, calling it the Wong Way to Victory. Vrell watched in fascination as the team gathered around Wong's tablet, treating the deadly obstacle course like a video game level to be conquered. They pointed out choke points, discussed timing patterns, and even argued about speed running strats. Benjamin Okoro, who had been quietly working with the ventilation system, gave a thumbs up. The maintenance tunnels Sarah found are perfect. We can use them to redirect warm air from the functional systems to the areas that need it most. Dimitri's small enough to help me adjust the manual vents. Now showing Zentaran Special Forces attempting the same course Central AI announced. Dr. Prime watched as 9-year-old Dmitry Volkov fearlessly navigated the narrow maintenance passages, following Benjamin's instructions to adjust the airflow. The two boys had developed their own system of knocks and taps to communicate through the walls. The parallel display showed the highly trained alien soldiers approaching their version of the course. Their vital signs showed textbook stress responses. Two immediately vomited upon seeing the obstacles. Another began writing a final message to their spawn cluster. Back on the human course, Rodriguez's team was already in motion. Wong, Martinez, take point. Jackson, Parker, watch our 6, Rodriguez called out, his voice filled with excitement rather than fear. Remember, team, just like that racing game Wong's addicted to. Hit the checkpoints, nail the timing, and don't forget to style on these robots. Vrell's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as he watched the humans move. They weren't just surviving, they were showing off. Martinez rolled through a flame jet's timing gap, adding an unnecessary but impressive flip. Wong slid under automated turret fire like she was scoring points in a dance game. Showing now Praxi commandos on their attempt. Central AI updated. The parallel feed showed the insectoid warriors freezing in terror, their hive mind overwhelmed by survival instinct. None made it past the first obstacle. Hey, LT, Martinez called out as she vaulted over a plasma barrier. Better pick up the pace. Wong's about to beat your high score. Rodriguez laughed, diving through a series of lethal swinging blades. In her dreams. Watch this. The lieutenant proceeded to chain together a series of moves that should have been physically impossible, treating lethal weapons like playground equipment. His vital signs showed elevated excitement, but no fear. Now displaying Krev Tan elite guards attempt. The serpentine Krev Tan warriors, famous for their courage, simply curled into defensive balls when faced with the course's challenges. Final stretch, people, Rodriguez shouted. Wong, Martinez execute maneuver triple cherry. Tyler's calculations for the optimal descent angle are remarkably accurate, Quantum noted, his crystalline structure pulsing with excitement as he reviewed the data. He's accounting for variables we wouldn't have expected a child to consider. Without hesitation, the 3 soldiers linked arms. Using their combined momentum, they launched each other through the course's most lethal section like human projectiles, laughing the entire time. Central AI announced. Human squad has completed the course in 4 minutes, 17 seconds. New record established. 0 casualties. All other species attempts total failure. Vrell's skin had shifted to a color he'd never displayed before, a mixture of awe and terror. Send full analysis to the research team, he commanded, watching Rodriguez's squad celebrate below. They were comparing scores, arguing about style points, and already planning their next attempt. Central Vrell spoke slowly. Update the simulation parameters. I want to see how they handle it if we make it even harder. Commander, the AI cautioned. The course is already at maximum lethal capacity. Exactly, Vrell's skin pulsed with scientific fascination. And they're bored with it. They're not treating it as a test of survival anymore, they're treating it like a game they've mastered. So let's give them a new challenge. Below, Rodriguez was demonstrating his speedrun strat to a junior officer, casually walking through the timing of a move that would have given a Zentaran general a heart attack. Send the data to Dr. Winter's lab as well, Vrell added. I want to see her analysis of their response patterns and prepare the course for version 2.0. Let's see how they handle some new game mechanics. Vrell had a feeling they'd not only survive it, they'd find a way to make it fun. Commander Vrell's research was interrupted by a priority alert that turned his skin a pale, shocked white. The Krix'tal Empire, notorious conquerors from the galactic core, had launched a massive invasion fleet toward Earth. Central, give me eyes on the human response, Vrell commanded, his voice tight with concern. These primitive humans were about to face the most powerful military force in known space. Perhaps, Quantum suggested, his crystalline structure glowing softly. This is why the Council's traditional methods of studying human adaptability have been insufficient. We've been looking for responses that mirror our own technological solutions. The main display shifted to Earth's United Defense Command Center. Admiral Kara Phoenix stood before a global emergency session, her scarred face illuminated by the tactical hologram showing thousands of incoming Krix'tal warships. "Ladies and gentlemen," Phoenix addressed the assembled leaders, a hint of a smile playing at her lips. "I hope you all brought your gaming rigs, because this is about to be the biggest raid boss fight in human history." When all along Dr. Prime concluded, his membrane pulsing with the excitement of discovery, their greatest strength lies in their ability to see beyond established systems and create something entirely new. Shocked laughter rippled through the command center. Vrell's skin rippled in disbelief. Did they not understand the gravity of their situation? "The Krix'tal have conquered 17 civilizations," Phoenix continued, pulling up enemy ship statistics like she was reviewing game patch notes. "They've never lost a war. They've never even had a species last more than 2 days against them." She paused, grinning. "Anyone want to start a betting pool on how long it takes us to make them rage quit?" More laughter, but now mixed with determined cheers. Vrell watched in fascination as the human leaders began treating the incoming apocalypse like some sort of tournament event. "Central, patch me through to the Krix'tal command frequency," Vrell requested. "I need to hear both sides of this." The Krix'tal Supreme Commander's voice filled the observation pod. "Surrender now, humans, and we will grant you the mercy of quick extinction." Admiral Phoenix's response made Vrell's inner eyelids flicker rapidly. She was laughing. "Sorry, big guy, but we're going for a no-death run on this playthrough," she replied. "Tell you what, though, if you turn around now, we'll pretend this was just a practice round." The Krix'tal commander's confusion was palpable. "You dare mock your own extinction?" "Oh no, we're taking this very seriously," Phoenix assured him, while typing something into her console. "In fact, we're so serious we've already started keeping score. Lieutenant Rodriguez's team just took out your advanced scout ships. Current speedrun record is 2 minutes 14 seconds per ship. Care to place a bet on whether they can beat it with your main fleet?" Vrell quickly pulled up the tactical feed. Sure enough, Rodriguez and his squad had somehow turned ship-to-ship combat into a competitive sport. They were literally rating each other's kills based on style points. "This is your final warning," the Krix'tal commander growled. "Submit or be destroyed." "Hard pass," Phoenix replied cheerfully. "But hey, since you're committed to this boss fight, let me explain how we're scoring it. Standard points for ships destroyed, bonus multipliers for creative tactics, and triple score for capturing enemies alive. Oh, and we're live streaming the whole thing. Currently at 7 billion viewers. That's got to be some kind of record." "Their approach completely contradicts our emergency procedures," Zephyr noted, her scales shifting to a pattern indicating deep confusion. "All our protocols emphasize isolating damaged systems, not intentionally linking them." Vrell watched as the human defense forces mobilized. They were approaching the upcoming war like it was the galaxy's biggest esports event. Military channels were filled with competing kill counts, teams arguing over tactics like they were discussing game strategies, and soldiers treating certain death scenarios as opportunities for achievement unlocks. Commander Central AI interrupted. "The Krix'tal invasion fleet has begun their approach. Based on all known tactical analysis, Earth should fall within hours." Vrell's skin shifted to an intrigued purple as he watched Admiral Phoenix coordinate Earth's defenses with the same enthusiasm humans usually reserved for their entertainment activities. "I wouldn't be so sure about that," Central he mused. "I think the Krix'tal are about to learn why you should never underestimate opponents who treat death like a game mechanic to be exploited." Below, humanity prepared for war. And they were having fun doing it. The first wave of Krix'tal ships hit Earth's atmosphere like a meteor shower. Commander Vrell expected panic. Instead, he watched humanity flip the script entirely. "Patch me through to Dr. Winter's emergency briefing," Vrell commanded, his skin pulsing with anticipation. The display showed Dr. Winter standing before Earth's military command, her silver-streaked hair disheveled from days without sleep. "Gentlemen, we're not just fighting a war. We're playing a game where we make the rules." Admiral Phoenix leaned forward. "Explain." "The Krix'tal expect us to respond like every other species, with fear, with desperation. But thanks to our unique psychological adaptation, we can turn this invasion into the ultimate multiplayer strategy game." On cue, Lieutenant Rodriguez's team burst into the command center, fresh from another impossible victory. "Admiral, you need to see this." He tossed a captured Krix'tal neural interface onto the table. "We found their weakness. They literally can't process how we think." Dr. Winter's eyes lit up. "Exactly. Their neural networks are programmed to exploit enemy fear responses. But we're not giving them fear, we're giving them players who treat death like a respawn timer." Vrell watched in fascination as humanity reorganized its entire defense strategy. Military units were renamed as player guilds. Defensive operations became raid events. The global defense network transformed into what humans called a server network. Central Vrell spoke, his skin shifting through shades of amazement. "Show me Rodriguez's latest engagement." He played footage of the Crisis Maya coordinating teams with intuitive efficiency, Lucas Thompson's pattern recognition leading to critical insights, the Chen Martinez twins' development of resource distribution systems, and Benjamin Okoro's emotional intelligence keeping group dynamics stable under extreme pressure. The display shifted to a space battle. Rodriguez's team had modified their ships with what they called speed-running modifications. They were pulling off maneuvers that made no tactical sense until they worked spectacularly. Yo Martinez Rodriguez called over the comm. "That last trick shot was totally frame perfect. New high score." Please, Martinez laughed while executing an impossible spiral through enemy fire. "I'm just getting warmed up." "Hey Wong, bet you can't thread the needle between those 3 dreadnoughts." Watch and learn. Noob's Wong's ship dove into what should have been certain death. Instead, it triggered a chain reaction that destroyed all 3 enemy vessels. Commander Central AI interrupted. Dr. Winter's latest research paper is being broadcast globally. The document detailed how humanity's game state response had evolved into a tactical advantage. Soldiers weren't just fighting, they were innovating, treating lethal combat like a game to be solved, hacked, and mastered. Vrell's attention snapped to another feed. Admiral Phoenix was addressing the planet. "Listen up, players. The Krix'tal think they're here to exterminate us. Instead, they've given us the biggest multiplayer event in human history. Current global rankings are up on the defense network. North American server is leading in ship kills. But Asia server is crushing it in ground defense points." The response was electric. Every human military unit started competing not just to survive, but to win with style. They were developing techniques that defied conventional warfare. Dr. Winter Phoenix continued, "Your research just unlocked a new strategy tree for us. Rodriguez's team proved it works. Time to roll it out globally." Vrell watched as humanity's defensive doctrine evolved in real time. They weren't just adapting, they were treating the entire invasion like a game they intended to speedrun. Commander Central AI noted, "Human casualty rates are 90% lower than predicted. They're actually having fun." Vrell's skin turned a contemplative blue. He'd started this research thinking he'd discovered why humans survived. Now he was watching them turn survival itself into an art form. Below, Rodriguez's team was teaching other units their pro-gamer moves. Dr. Winter's insights were being transformed into battlefield innovations. And humanity wasn't just fighting back, they were changing the very nature of how war could be fought. The game was changing, and humanity was writing the new rules. Commander Vrell stood transfixed as humanity launched what they called their final boss strategy. The Krix'tal Supreme Commander had just issued his ultimate threat: total planetary annihilation within 1 hour. Admiral Phoenix's response. She pushed a button labeled Start Speedrun. "Ladies and gentlemen," Phoenix announced globally, "the endgame content is officially unlocked. Rodriguez, you're up. Show them what happens when you try to spawn Camp Earth." Vrell's skin flickered between colors as he watched Rodriguez's team execute what they called Strat Zero. They'd turned their entire fleet into what Wong had dubbed the ultimate combo move. "All ships, activate gamer mode," Rodriguez commanded. "Martinez, trigger the Phoenix protocol." The human fleet split into formations that made no tactical sense until Vrell realized they were recreating patterns from their most popular strategy games. The Krix'tal battle computers, programmed for conventional warfare, couldn't predict moves based on video game logic. "Hey invaders," Martinez broadcast on all frequencies. "You guys ever hear of a pro-gamer move called the reverse card?" Dr. Winter's voice cut in. "Now, Lieutenant. Their neural networks can't process parallel gaming strategies." Rodriguez's fleet executed a series of maneuvers that looked like pure chaos. Ships moved in patterns based on classic human game: space invaders, asteroids, even something they called Pokemon. They're not just using game strategies, Vrell muttered in awe. They're combining them all at once. The Krix'tal fleet, faced with battlefield behavior their tactical computers classified as insane, began to break formation. Their neural networks, designed to exploit enemy fear, encountered only humans treating apocalyptic combat like the world's biggest game tournament. Current score multiplier is 12x, Wong announced. New global high score incoming. Hey Krix'tal, thanks for all the achievement unlocks. Phoenix's voice boomed across all channels. Attention alien noobs. Earth server rules have been updated. Random invasions are now banned. Violators will be spawn camped. The Krix'tal Supreme Commander's response was almost plaintive. This defies all combat logic. You cannot treat war like a game. Watch as Phoenix replied. Rodriguez, show them our finishing move. Vrell's inner eyelids flickered rapidly as humanity's final strategy unfolded. Every ship, every weapon, every defensive system moved in perfect synchronization like the ultimate multiplayer combo. Commander Central AI reported, the humans are coordinating their entire planetary defense network using video game controller inputs. Of course they are, Vrell whispered, his skin glowing with understanding. They've turned the entire war into the ultimate co-op speedrun. The Krix'tal fleet, facing tactics their computers classified as impossible, began a full retreat. Their feared neural network advantage had become their greatest weakness. They couldn't fight an enemy that treated death like a respawn timer. GGEs, Rodriguez's voice echoed through space. Anyone up for a victory stream? Vrell watched as humanity celebrated their victory like they'd just won a global gaming tournament. Dr. Winter was already publishing papers on how they'd weaponized their psychological adaptation. Admiral Phoenix was announcing the final scores by server region. Central Vrell spoke, his skin settling into a color of profound respect. Update my final report to the Galactic Council. Classification: humanity is not a primitive species learning to survive. They are an advanced species that has mastered survival by refusing to take it seriously. Below, Earth celebrated. Rodriguez's team was already proposing modifications to make the next alien invasion more challenging. Dr. Winter was collaborating with game developers to enhance military training. And humanity had just proven that their greatest weakness, their mortality, had become their ultimate strength. One final note, Vrell added. Recommend all future species think very carefully before starting a PvP match with humanity. They've turned their entire civilization into the galaxy's most dangerous players, and they're having fun doing it.